comfortable in talking. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tellman and Fellman Show. Welcome. This is Harris Fellman and that guy over there
is Tellman Knutson, and we are here for episode 55 of the Tellman and Fellman Show, your favorite marketing show of all time, and rightly so. Rightly so. Today we're going to be talking about the future and evolution of direct response marketing, part 2. We talked about this in episode 53 2 days ago, and we still have more to say, and so does ChatGPT, as it turns out. So we're going to have a little chat, but today is a special episode. Harris and I are here as co-hosts, and we don't have a special interviewee. And so if you are watching us live and you jump on, today's episode is probably going to be around 30 minutes. And so you have a limited window to join us live and ask your questions, share your opinions, or just say hi. So if you want to do that, direct message us on Facebook, either Harris or myself. Let us know, and we'll give you a link to join us. And Harris, I think I dropped that link in the private chat so that we both have it for the invite link. If somebody wants to join us on video live and say what's up, please.
I'm not going to just drop that. We at least need to make sure it's somebody we want to have on.
Yeah.
I'll private message you. I'll private message you.
But I mean, the only people that would actually say something are I find are usually like reasonable human beings who have video cameras and know how to.
Yeah, but I don't want to make that. I'm saying I don't want to make that public, even for like future.
No. That's something to privately give out for the time being, unless we want to really start rolling the dice. Maybe when we have a huge audience, we can just start freestyling it. Kind of like when anybody just calls into the radio station. Who are you going to get?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. But I think they even screen the calls, Tellman.
They must to some degree.
Yeah. They're like, this guy's crazy. Let's put him on.
Actually, I have this is actually an old school marketing. Since we're talking about the evolution of marketing, this is a radio related story. Back in the day, I was a hypnotist, and I had been trained by a woman named Sharon Austin, who owned a Positive Changes Hypnosis Clinic in Brattleboro. And she opened up a secondary clinic in Northampton, Massachusetts. And I became the primary hypnotist in both the Brattleboro and the Northampton office. And so I was working, 5-6 days a week, all day, hypnotizing people, driving all over. It was a 45-minute drive down to Northampton. And I would, this is before I had a cell phone. And I would listen to the radio. And I've always been, I don't listen to that much heavy metal anymore, but most of my life I've been kind of a metalhead. And so I was listening to a radio station out of Boston called WAAF, what was like the heavy metal station. And there's the DJ, her name was Mistress Carrie. And I think she might even still be DJing. And she was on the radio. I was listening to the station. It only got all the way out here when there's heavy cloud cover and the radio waves would bounce off would stay like in the atmosphere. If it was clear,
I got better Wi-Fi on my walk today with the heavy cloud cover.
Weird, right? Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, internet. Yeah.
So she said she hadn't been able to sleep for 4 days, and she had insomnia. And so I call her up and I call in from a payphone. I was like scraping quarters off the floor of my car, and I was like put them in a payphone. Like at the exit, I pulled off the side of the road and I was like, "Hey, you have insomnia?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm a hypnotist. You want me to come in and hypnotize you? I'll call in sick to work, And she's like, "I can't today. Our schedule's booked, but could you come in tomorrow?" So I said, "Yeah." And I had the next day off, and so I got up like before dawn and drove to Boston, and I got on air, and she interviewed me about hypnosis. I hypnotized her while she played a set of like 6 or 7 songs. And then she brought people in she didn't tell me she was going to do this, but she invited the community in for me to hypnotize them to quit smoking. And we packed like 40 people into this little tiny room in the back. And I stood up on a folding chair, and everybody was standing up, packed in like sardines, and I hypnotized them all to quit smoking.
That's crazy.
And it launched my hypnosis career in Boston because so many people heard the radio station, and then word of mouth started spreading. I started doing, and I had a hypnosis. I still have a hypnosis briefcase. It was metal, and I created a recording studio in a box with a CD player and a cassette tape recorder and phones and a little mini mixer that I got at Radio Shack. And I would go in the lobby of AAF, WAF, because they had a brand new building, $500 a session. I would hypnotize executives in the lobby of that building and hand them a tape when I was done. And then I'd drive back to Vermont at the end of the day. And it was really cool. Because
let me ask you a question. So when that very first one, was it so it's airing and you're hypnotizing people? Can the audience hear the hypnosis of?
No, I had enough knowledge and experience to realize that like it's not good to listen to hypnosis while you're in a car and driving,
you could
or when you're really trying to pay attention to something. And I realized most people listening to WAF were probably like working in a factory environment, like blue collar, largely. And it wouldn't be safe for me to hypnotize people.
So you guys just kind of reported on it after the fact on the radio?
I was there the whole day, and at one point, there were a few people that came in, and there was like in the studio, there was like a kind of like a bar vibe set up, that you could sit at. And so we sat 4 or 5 people down at the bar, and I hypnotized them while a song was playing. But then I brought them to talk about their experience while they were still in hypnosis on air. So it was kind of like stage hypnosis that way, in that people explained what it was like to be hypnotized while they were hypnotized, but I didn't bring people.
You didn't do the induction. You didn't do.
I didn't do the induction on air because
so the other question I have is, was this early? Was it too early in your career to do a call to action? So now you're on the radio.
Oh no, I was smart. You have to understand that like my first business, I was 19, right? And I was selling salsa. Like I had a bunch of businesses before I became a hypnotist. But I was making money either working for my trainer and teacher for like $15 an hour, or I was doing private sessions at $75 a session, like house calls, right? And so in Brattleboro and local in Vermont, it was $75 a session, but in Boston, it became $500 a session.
So you did a form of direct response marketing on the radio.
I think
impromptu.
That I must have given out my business name and phone number, or so I must have given out my phone number.
So if you'd like Telman to do this for you as well, or if you'd like me to do this for you as well, just reach out to me and let me know that you heard about it on WAAFM or WAFM, whatever it was. And I'll be sure to give you that $100 discount or something like that.
For the next 2 weeks, Mistress Carrie was raving about how well she was sleeping and how relaxed she felt and how stress didn't bother her anymore and all these things. So it was like,
there's the real secret. Have a great product that people rave about, right?
That's right.
So do you mind if we get to the
that was great. That was great. So
I just want to run through the history. I don't want to go all the way back to the 1700s like we did 2 days ago, but basically origins in print media, which most people would probably know, but that's the early 20th century. Direct response marketing began to take shape in the early 1900s with print advertising. Claude Hopkins, author of Scientific Advertising, emphasized testing, measuring, and refining advertising efforts. So he must have had a way in a newspaper, because it was only, they're just talking about print, right? Going to print media. Maybe he also did postcard mail as well. It's not talking about that, but like, oh no, it does. He does. This is when they saw the rise of mail order catalogs. So they would just send catalogs to people, right? We used to just send the full catalog to people and say, you want to order something, get it. And then next was growth. The mid 20th century was big growth through radio and television. So it had the roots in print. Then it goes into that. I just want to run through these so that we can get to the future stuff, because I think that's going to be really interesting for us. Totally. I haven't read them all either. So next is the emergence of direct mail, 1970s to 1990s. This is when This is when I lived in the U.S. I'm a kid up till into my 20s and 30s, and I remember getting so much mail. We ended up calling it junk mail.
I remember like coming home from school and having the mailbox be full and having not one but two grocery bags filled with mail hanging off the mailbox that I had to
Wow.
carry up the drive. Like, yeah, it was like we were getting so many catalogs and like
And
all sorts of stuff.
I remember there was a time when we would sort through it and decide, oh, maybe I'm interested in that. Something might catch my eye, but eventually it's just like you can't. But I remember even in my 20s and out of high school, I'm sorry, out of college, I remember like having my own place at first, and I kind of remotely remember getting a few
Oh,
direct response type things. I definitely got a chain mail when I was in college. I remember getting some sort of chain letter. They somehow got my address in at my not in my dorm, but it was like after the dorm in an apartment. But anyway, after that, we've got the digital revolution where you and I are familiar. That's it says the 1990s to 2000s. Introduction of the internet in the late 1900s. I'm sorry, in the late 1990s and early 2000s when we really came onto it. Well, actually, I was around it in 98. So sure, I was doing email marketing back then. So um, offering unprecedented targeting capabilities and measuring outcomes. This era also marked the rise of digital advertising platforms like Google AdWords, which allowed pay-per-click advertising that could track immediate responses. So yeah, that's when we really picked up in it. And then it's talking about social media and automation in the 2010s. Saw social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram transform direct response marketing. That's an interesting word for it. The ability to micro target users based on detailed data profiles ushered in an era of hyper personalized advertising. Like, your name on a t-shirt was, I don't know if yours ever was or mine, but more common name. I guess it didn't matter, right? They could do a print on demand and do it.
right.
Marketing automation software. It doesn't say like ClickFunnels, but also became prevalent, allowing marketers to build detailed customer journeys with automated follow-ups. So that's like autoresponders and stuff like that. Current trends. Today, direct response marketing is increasingly data driven with AI and machine learning playing significant roles. Personalization at scale, video content, chat bots, the interactive ad formats and interactive ad formats have become mainstream. Privacy regulations such as GDPR in Europe and shifts towards user protection have influenced how marketers approach targeting and data collection. So, what do you
Yeah,
think of any of that?
I mean, it's all true, right? It's certainly all true. I direct response is interesting because before the internet, you had to so you could put advertising out there, and maybe your business would grow, and maybe you could attribute it back to the advertising. Like if you put up a billboard and you throw up your main phone number on it, you don't really know is the are the new customers coming in from that billboard or are they coming in from the yellow pages, right? I mean, like back
Well, that's what I was about to say, though. On the early thing, like in a newspaper, you could know, you could have a different
yeah,
phone number for each
yeah.
one.
Well, that's what made it direct response, is having a tracking mechanism.
Right.
And the
Right.
idea is,
Broadcast television, you usually don't have it's very difficult to do a tracking. You get to put one commercial on national television or local television. That's it.
right. But if you set up a unique domain name or a QR code or a unique phone number that tracks to that one episode that you made or that one advertisement you made or whatever, then now it's direct response,
Right.
even if it's organic. And so that's the interesting thing, is that direct response basically is when you take advertising and you make it trackable and you pay attention to your numbers and then you focus on what's working and you discard what's not working.
Right.
And what the internet has done, slowly but surely, is it's made that part more automatic. It's just that not everybody looks at their numbers. So it is like almost everything is tracked now, even all the organic stuff almost is all tracked almost automatically, right? And there are very easy tracking tools that you can put into place with all of your paid or your social organic stuff. I'm reminded of a saying that I heard from Joe Polish in the 25K Genius Network, which was, that which is tracked improves, that which is tracked and reported on improves exponentially. And I mean, honestly, it's a it's similar to 75 hard. Like we're tracking our actions around, these exercise, water intake, these types of things,
Food.
food, and we're reporting on them, if nothing else, then either in the app or on a notebook, right? To make, check the items off the list to make sure you knock those things out. And lo and behold, when you track them and you report on them, you hit them more often than if you don't, than if you're just like wishy-washy about it and you don't think about it. And so it's true with fitness, it's true with weight loss, it's true with money, right? And so direct response is really allowing you to, like, from my perspective, look at those numbers and focus on improving them,
Right.
a little bit more
And
every day.
scaling what's the best, scaling the
That's right.
best,
That's
right?
right. Making, or at least making your best choices to try to scale what seems to be the best. It's there's a lot of creativity involved, but looking at the numbers and um, working on them, just the act of doing that improves your results dramatically. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you're engaging in that activity consciously. And so um, I think that's the root of direct response.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. Well, let's move into the future. So I'm gonna. I've got two. I asked it to go far future as well as recent future. So there's a next 5 to 10 years, which you and I will probably like have something to say about, and then far future we might be like, whoa.
Oh, okay,
I don't
okay.
know.
I'm very interested in hearing what GPT predicts about the far future. That sounds
Right,
cool.
right. So for the near future, we've got AI-driven personalization. So I mean, you and I think, still need to absorb where we're even at with AI as as it is to as it applies to direct response marketing. For sure. Let's talk about that for a second, right? We know that it's being used to create. So let's go back, right? It said social media is super important. It's being used to create content much more quickly that gets put out on social media, and of course, you can probably track that, right? You could track each of those videos that you put out
Right.
if you wanted to, right? And well, I mean, it is being tracked. What am I talking about? You open up Instagram
How many
and
views
you
do you
click,
have? How many likes do you have? I
it's
mean,
all there. Yeah. And then you can
then
look at the 10 that you put out and see which one did best, and do more of that. I mean, try to figure
and
out
then
why it did
how
best.
many clicks on the link did you get in your bio? And that's hopefully run through some sort of a tracking link so you can see directly how many people are coming from Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So anyway, AI driven personalization. AI will take personalization to an unprecedented level, allowing marketers by the way, this is a prediction from a robot. So don't go start a business based on it just yet, unless you absolutely agree with it on your own. Allowing marketers to create real time adaptive campaigns that respond to user behavior instantly. Expect AI to generate highly targeted ad copy, optimized email sequences, and video content based on user preference and interactions.
All
How's
right.
that sound? How's that sound to you?
I mean, it kind of sounds like it's already happening, honestly.
I mean, it's
you
pretty
know,
close, right? Like the having chat discussions, but it's saying that, like, sorry, saying having chat discussions that are AI run for sales or pre-sales or stuff like that. Like, we've had Jeff Mills on. He has a company
yeah,
that's
I mean,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah. People have AI chatbots and voice chatbots that are calling people on the phone and closing sales. Like that is happening right now.
Right. But this is saying, okay, I think different than that, it's saying it's going to take personalization to an unprecedented level, meaning every email is going to be different, and somehow I guess we need to get out. Let's go into. I mean, something that that I thought you could do, and I think it was just too expensive for my niche. But like, you used to be able to know when something lands, or before it lands, where they are, right? So the weather there, for instance.
Right,
So we're going to send 100 emails to 100 different people. They're all in 100 different places. Hey, I know it's really cold up in Vermont today.
right,
Might you be interested in our hot cocoa special?
right,
And
right,
you
right.
know and then maybe don't send anything when there's a hurricane about to hit somebody about that, or maybe send them something different, like,
Right.
do you need batteries? I don't know, whatever it is that your company sells, right?
Right.
So it's actually saying like knowing the data, but then going deeper than the weather is pretty surface level, right? It knows a profile, a personalization profile, right? A personalized profile, a personality, and maybe what they do for a living, or at least their income, and
Right.
all the things that we do have that
Well,
data on.
at the basic level, this has been around for quite a long time. Like you know, I have a Subaru Outback that's several years old, and I drive around, and if the fuel level gets to a certain point, it says, "Hey, you want your fuel level's low? Do you want me to find a gas station that's open near you?"
Who
Right?
says that?
My car,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Like I get a message from my car. Now, like that's obviously not really my personal preference, but it's taking data from my car, which is really kind of like an extension of me, right?
Right.
So like that's a super basic version that doesn't really need AI to pull it off. But but the timeliness of the offer, based on what's happening in real time in real life is right there. And I think that's going to become like, think about it, like what's going to happen if, yeah, if you're thirsty and your watch has biometrics, and it's like, hey, you need some electrolytes, there's some at the convenience store around the corner. Yeah, or we could drop some Gatorade off at your house while you're out on your run so you can rehydrate when you get back.
Yeah, so you're even thinking about it combining with the IoT, Internet of Things, like the fact that we've got all these things that are looking at us right in that moment. Yeah.
Well, and
Um,
we're all complaining about, Facebook. I mean, I'm complaining about for years Facebook listening in on conversations and serving up organic or ads that are entirely based on conversations that I was not having with Facebook, that I was having with a human, while my phone with Facebook on it was in my pocket, right? And
yeah.
so most of us have experienced this, I think.
I
Um,
actually haven't, because I haven't lived in the US for 11 years. I think that's allowed in the US, and not, GDPR definitely would not allow that level of sniffing
right,
for,
right,
you know.
right.
So let's jump into the next one. By the way, I just noticed I look quite tan. It looks like I just came back from Barcelona. I didn't realize how, walking around a little bit in the sun can get you looking
In a hurry.
darker.
Yeah.
All right. So, voice and conversational commerce, voice search, and smart assistants like Alexa and Google Assistant will become crucial touch points for direct response marketing. Marketers will need to develop strategies for voice activated calls to action and seamless conversational commerce experiences.
Dude, so this isn't quite conversational, but I had a really cool experience with my girlfriend recently. So she has this pair of magenta pants that she
Do we need
loves.
to tell parents to tell their kids
No,
to?
no, no, no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a magenta pants, and she got them, I think maybe secondhand or something. And she, I don't know if she cut out the label or what. But there was no label on them. There was no brand. There was no reference of who made them, and she loves them. And recently, another family member commented on them and whatever, and she couldn't figure out where to get another pair, and so we used the Google app. Right? I don't know if you've used the Google app or not, but get the app called Google, and you can just take a picture, and then it will analyze it, find out what it is, and where you can buy a pair. And within minutes, she had ordered another pair and got them shipped to her, and boom. And so it was like, so that's not quite conversational, but it is like real time interactive where, um, you know,
You definitely could not have done that 2 years ago,
wow,
right?
it's just incredible. It was
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, very cool. Sorry, I was in a different window. But yeah, so voice and conversational commerce, right? So
Well,
that
it
means
seems
that
to, yeah,
we'll be able to say, Alexa,
Chat GPT or whoever,
well,
Chad. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure,
Um,
you could kind of do it in ChatGPT now, like what you just described. I could put a photo of the pants in ChatGPT and it would find it, but it
Yeah,
probably
but
wouldn't
the
find.
reality is, if like when it gets to the point where you upload your credit card to ChatGPT and you click the interface that allows it to match, to connect into your Amazon account or whatever, then or maybe it's not ChatGPT, maybe it's another solution, another AI solution. But like, yeah, I mean, if we're talking to Amazon's AI and we're asking it to buy us something and show us a picture before we do the order while we're driving, I mean, that's basically what we're talking about. That's not far off. Like that's immediate future.
Yeah, it's I wonder what I guess the tracking would be on your messaging,
Yeah,
right?
they
Your
probably had it in Japan for 10 years.
Yeah, ChatGPT is just looking at what's in Japan. So first party data emphasis. Okay, so this is more regulation future trend. Due to tightening data privacy laws, brands will focus more on first party. That means that they collected the data through loyalty programs, interactive content, and direct engagement strategies. The shift will drive more emphasis on building direct, trusting relationships with audiences.
I mean, I think that trust with we've talked about this before, but like with the ever increasing amount of content being created via AI, which is inevitable at this stage, and not just content but sales material, right? Sales letters. We just talked about sales bots. Um, I mean, for the moment anyway, humans are overseeing this stuff. Humans are in theory editing what AI is creating and so on. But like we both know, we've both seen plenty of video clips that have been released that a human clearly didn't do a very good job of editing, before it was rolled out, whether it's
Yeah.
and so in theory it's getting edited by a competent human, but not always in practice, right? So it's this situation where um people, I mean, in marketing we've said, know, like, and trust. If you want people to buy from you and want to do business with you, like, they need to know who you are, they need to like you, they need to trust you. Does all of that have to be true in order for anyone to ever give you money? Of course not, right? Like, if you're a hot, selling hot dogs on the street of New York City, and like there's no other food around and you're just hungry and you want to buy a hot dog, you don't need to know the person, you don't need to like the person, you don't even really need to trust them that much to buy a hot dog. Like, it's there, you can do it. We buy food from vending machines. There's no like and trust necessarily. And so, I mean, I guess the brand of the product that you're getting out of the vending machine. But if in an age where there's basically robots getting in the way, getting in between the humans that are doing business together, I think that trust, like genuine trust and connection, is going to become rare and exceptionally valuable. I hope anyway. That's where I'm hedging my bets.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and that's, with content like instructional content, courses and stuff. School obviously really comes to mind. It's kind of being on the forefront of you being able to have a first person relationship with your audience and community, and the community also has a real
Well,
relationship.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, because so like, um, Harris, you and I are both going through a pretty cool school training right now, about how to build very successful communities on school. And the one that we're going through, a great deal of it is, I mean, the title has to do with automation, right? And interestingly enough, I'm noticing that there's an enormous amount of human interaction in that school group for something that's um, um, branding itself on automation, right? And so there is automation, but there's enormous amounts of actual interaction and leadership from real humans.
Yeah,
Um,
but the automation allows them to have the time to do that and
and
leverage
still keep
and
up, yeah. So
yeah.
really, no. I mean, I'm not saying
And gives them
automation is
people
worthless.
and gives them people to interact with.
Right,
Thanks to the automation pushes them up to their attention, the human's attention.
right.
Cool. So the next one, this is the last one on. I mean, I'm sure we could ask for more, but the last one on the 5 to next five years or so. Interactive and immersive experiences. I read this ahead of you. My instinct is that I disagree with this. As AR and VR technologies become more integrated into mainstream life, direct response campaigns may shift towards immersive ads that allow users to engage with products virtually before committing to purchase. Interactive, shoppable videos and live streamed sales events, I didn't read it fully, will continue to rise. So my disagreement, my instinctual disagreement is I don't know if AR and VR is going to really get adopted like, like we think in the movies. Like it's almost like, I guess once it gets to Star Trek holodeck level, maybe, but like I mean, I know we're heading towards putting less heavy things on our face, but putting something on our face, I mean, I think Apple has an interesting solution with, showing you what's going, like you've got basically ski goggles on and you can see what's going on the other side. So I had to look up like how much adoption is there so far, right? Global use versus US.
Yeah.
And then I wonder, I mean, I have one that I sold for pennies, like, to be honest, because I had one for a VR, a good,
Oh, like an Oculus or something.
Oculus. I had an early, maybe it wasn't Oculus. Halo. No, that's not right. Anyway, and my son and I both loved it for a little while, and then we stopped using it. I mean, I got motion sickness on some of it.
We had such a funny thing. So Jody and I got divorced and moved into separate households. And believe it or not, we haven't always got along really well since that divorce. Um, and one Christmas a few years ago, my son somehow ended up with two of the same Oculus, one in
Okay.
each house because of poor communication and friction. And so
Okay.
they were great. They were super fun for a little while. But yeah, they also kind of give you a headache,
So I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but and I'm wrong. I'm probably just more on the timeline, the 5 to 10 years, uh, before it. But I guess I was envisioning them to say something like everybody's going to have VR on their or AR on their faces all the time, and people are going to be able to layer direct response at them, But it's more like, hey, if you want to somehow experience the product, a house makes sense. Go walk through a house. But I don't know. I guess somehow that's not direct response to me. But anyway, so how many people I'll just tell you. So about 171 million people in the world, it says, are utilizing VR technology. I question utilizing if it's sitting on the shelf and not being used. And then in the US, 50 million VR users, representing about 15% of the population. So 50 million people supposedly have a VR headset of some sort, I guess. Market penetration, device. Anyway, that's not important. So anyway, you want to move on to future stuff, or do you have
Yeah,
any
yeah,
thoughts
on
on?
the future stuff.
Yeah, I think it will be cool if like you're playing a game and there's stuff, direct response advertiser, you're walking around Second Life type of stuff. But anyway, all right. So 10 to 20 years and beyond. Number one, hyper integrated ecosystems. The concept of seamless cross-platform marketing a cross-platform marketing ecosystem where users can respond to campaigns across devices, wearables, AR, connected cars, as you said, without friction will evolve. The the internet of behavior will leverage vast data sets to anticipate needs and offer hyper-contextual ads that can respond to emotions, biometric signals, and real-time environmental factors.
All right. Well, I mean, it. Yeah, it's
You can see the pieces of that already, right?
no, they're all there. You know what I mean? It's all. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, I guess really the question is what types of media are people going to be consuming in the future, and how will direct response play into those media forms? Because if the media is some sort of like internet connected digital contact lens, right? or if the media is some sort of implanted brain chip, or if, right, if, and like one version of the media right now that I constantly have my son Torger. He's never cut his hair, and so he has this long blonde hair, and it's really good for covering his ears. And so he always has an earbud in, and he's always listening to something other than me when we're in the middle of conversations and talk. I'm constantly having him pull his earbud out so we can actually have an uninterrupted conversation. And so I feel like wireless earbuds are actually an example of the beginning of this, right? Where it's as simple as it's discreet, and unless somebody's really paying attention, they don't even know that your mind is elsewhere and is distracted by the media, right? And so imagine, imagine a more sophisticated way of beaming audio or video ads into your head based on where you are, what you're doing, what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, who you're around,
What your biometric, what
yeah,
your heart
what
rate
your body
is.
is doing right now, even perhaps at some point what your thoughts are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's next. Neural interfaces and direct brain engagement with ongoing advances in brain computer interface technology. Futuristic direct response marketing might involve direct interaction with users' neural pathways. While while ethically complex, indeed, this type of marketing would allow brands to craft experiences that blend seamlessly with thoughts and triggers and trigger call to actions without the current visual or auditory cues. Yeah. So we kind of talked about that already, right?
that's right. That's right.
All right. Okay. Decentralized and blockchain based models. Blockchain technology may enable decentralized advertising models. I'm still looking for a good one. Like I sometimes, I've been presented with that concept, and I'm like, you're not really doing anything. What's the unless you're going to hold people to a trust and authenticity. Like, why are you doing blockchain if it's not to make to validate the the what the person is offering is legitimate, basically, like, or the clicks that are coming in are legitimate. I guess there was some of that. There is some stuff out there along those
Like
lines that
anti-fraud, fraud
what.
prevention, like some fraud prevention
Yeah, like fraud
blockchain.
prevention. But the problem is people don't want to pay for it. People don't care about the fraud because they just look at the, like, I've got 1,000 clicks, 900, 900 of them were real, and I made this money on those 1,000 clicks. I don't.
Yeah, well, one man shows aren't looking at it. You need bigger customers, right? You need people who are dealing with millions of dollars in advertising every month, and like they're gonna
Well,
care.
I mean, I can tell you for sure, years ago, no, because I have a friend that sold his video. I forget the name of the company for like $400 million. So it was like, he had large clients, and he couldn't do much about the fraud. But ultimately, even when he tried, his very large clients, they really, at the end of the day, they don't care because you're just looking for the ROI. You
Right,
know, I mean, so even though you are paying per click, perhaps per visitor, if some of them are fake, you're like, okay, well, as long as I got real money in the end, from
right.
the real people, it's fine. But I think that anyway. So let me finish reading.
Yeah.
Models where users have more control over their data and compensated for sharing it. Smart contracts. Are you familiar with smart contracts? You know what they are. For everybody else, it's basically just something. It's basically live the live contract that the blockchain acknowledges, essentially. um that was a horrible explanation of it. Could streamline processes. Smart contracts could streamline processes like affiliate marketing, ensuring secure automatic payment structures and transparency. So yeah, people are very distrusting of affiliate networks. As soon as something goes wrong, they blame the network. I know, because I work for one full time now. Not
Mhm.
full time, but you know what I mean. All the time, every day. um, Full time, more than full time. I work 90 hours a week. If anyone's listening, AI automated creative strategy. AI will not only aid in the execution, but also in the strategic decision making of direct response campaigns. Machine learning Machine learning algorithms might autonomously create full-scale marketing campaigns from conception to optimization by analyzing vast amounts of data and learning from prior successes. AI will not only aid in the execution, but also in the strategic decision making. So basically, buddy, hey Chad, I think it's way sooner than 10 to 20 years from now. I mean, that's
Yeah, I feel like what ChatGPT is spitting out at this point is kind of like it's kind of vague and overarching. I mean, it's there's no nitty gritty to it, right? Like it's kind of like, oh, AI is going to get more involved in all the things that are already happening. Is kind of what I'm hearing.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
for sure in that one,
right,
but
right.
more. But okay, and then the last one is ethical marketing and AI regulations. We don't have to read that. We don't care about that, right? We didn't have Onyx and Gall on here. Anyway, as technology becomes more deeply embedded in consumers' lives, the marketing industry will likely face increased scrutiny and regulation regarding the use of AI and personal data. This could lead to a shift toward more transparent ethical practices and possibly marketing models that require clear consumer consent for hyper targeted campaigns. I will say probably not going to see that in the next 4 years with Elon Musk's best friend in office now. So I think that won't be. I think it's going to be more in the other direction, like less regulations, not more regulations. That's kind
It's
of the
hard to
direction.
tell. It's hard to tell what's going to happen. More or less regulations. AI is on the rise. More businesses are starting. More advertising platforms are being created. More ads are going to be served. That is going to continue to increase. We're going to continue to be inundated with more and different types of media and advertising. And whether it's the new social media app or some revolution, that happens in gaming, or or maybe it's virtual reality, augmented reality in some capacity. But I've got to say that my belief is that as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, the one thing that you can unquestionably double down on and compete on is your relationship with your customers, right? Connect with them more often, more deeply, more honestly, more authentically, meaning like my call them on the phone, talk to them, find out what's going on, help them. The better of a leader that you are, and the more supportive and helpful that you are toward your customers to help them move toward where they're moving, you will develop a lifelong relationship with them, and they will do business with you over and over and over again if you take the time to do that. Whereas most of your competition is going to be leaning on AI for the advantage. And I'm not saying don't do that. AI is awesome and you can do all sorts of cool things with it, but it's not going to give you an advantage because it's ultimately everybody has it and it's dirt cheap, right? So if everybody has the same tool and it's completely dirt cheap, how are you going to get ahead? You're not, so you can use it to do cool things and to do more than you would be able to do in your business already. But I would suggest that the relationship you have with the people that you're doing business with is going to be your ultimate trump card.
Yeah, and I would say also to utilize AI and automation so that you have more time to do what you
Oh,
just said.
totally. Yeah. I mean, as long as you're into it and curious about it and want to explore it and want to learn it, I would highly recommend that.
I disagree. I think you be using AI. I mean, because your competition is. We can agree to disagree, but
Yeah. I
you're
mean,
not
yeah.
sure you disagree.
No, I mean, I think you can. It depends on what game you want to play, right? Like there are so many people that are just not tech heads, that are not technology oriented, and are way more heart centered, and we're never going to convince them to build an AI robot of themselves. But we
Sure,
can
like
convince them
artists,
to care about, yeah, like artists. So we can encourage them to care about their customers more. You
right.
know,
Well, we will need artists when AI is doing everything for us.
hallelujah.
What else will there be to do?
I know, I know.
Anyway, anyway, we'll see how that goes. Well, anyway, I think that's a good ending for the Talman and Fellman show.
It's a wrap
Yeah, that's a wrap, everybody. Thanks for watching your favorite, apparently, marketing show with
of all
Harris
time.
of all time with Harris Fellman, and
Elvin Knudsen.
this has been
All right, and
episode
don't we?
55.
Are we interviewing someone tomorrow?
We are. We're interviewing Earl Formata
All
tomorrow.
right.
Yeah, and
Well,
you know what? If you'd like a complete list of all of the Tellman and Fellman shows, or at least up to episode 48 or so, we'll update that soon. Go to tellmanandfellman.com and opt in, and we'll send you a complete list, as well as other goodies somewhere down the line. I don't know if we have any other goodies in mind today, but I'll let you know about that. And then we'll be telling you about future shows, really cool things. And if you don't get an email, because I think we're having a little trouble with something, our email service provider doesn't seem to be opting everybody in. But you'll see an email address that you can write back to us on, and I will get that personally and just say, hey, where's that list, buddy? And I'll be like, here you go. Somebody did that. P.S. Without me
yeah,
telling them. Somebody
that's
figured that out. I shouldn't have to tell you. But anyway, God, I feel like such a talk show host right now. Hey, everybody, be sure to do that. Anyway, thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
rock and roll. See you guys tomorrow. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Is there a countdown to